Okay, where to start with this one? This is actually my review, my long-awaited review of Lucifer Book 2. I've been just, I have been kind of busy, so I apologize to people who were waiting for this, but here it is. So initially, I was kind of bored with the comic in the early parts of Book 2. I wasn't really enjoying the jumping between art style. I thought that that was kind of schlocky, and some of the art styles were good, others were not so good. A lot of the kind of anime-esque elements of it seemed uh, cliche or uninteresting, like the guy that's made of like ribbons or something, and he falls apart. It seemed like there were a lot of plot points that cropped up only to be chopped out with great haste, and that was kind of dumb. And then I got to the part where it was like a political intrigue thing, and that was interesting. And they were in this mansion with all these monsters and demons, and they were kind of jockeying for social prowess and control. And there was this plot within the plot with regard to Lucifer and inviting him or backstabbing him. There's, continuous hints about the upcoming duel with the dude Armdeal or Amardeal. I'm probably saying his name really badly, but not good with these names. That was a thing that they were constantly kind of hinting at, and I thought that was cool. My favorite part of the pomp and circumstance of the meeting in the mansion was how that lady took, what's his name, Rudd or Mud. Basically, they took a guy that was suffering in hellscape, and she rapes him and kind of uses him as an instrument of her ego and enjoyment. And then at some point he turns the tables on her, and then there's a bit of empathy on her part because he gives her like the concentrated regret and suffering of the people that were in that hellscape, and like gives it to her like a substance for her to snort, and she thinks it's this one thing but it's this other thing, and it has this huge effect on her, and it's great. It's absolutely great. Everything about it is wonderful. It's a wonderful scene. I really enjoyed it. The actual showing up of Lucifer at the event was peculiar in the way that they kind of deduced that there was a backstab, a double cross, noir type thing was interesting. But then I started getting bored again, and as the story progressed, there was more things about predestination that I thought were resonant and interesting, and they took it into some interesting directions with Lucifer actually like dying, air quotes, and meeting death. Death was a really weird character, and the idea of death as like some 90s goth girl that I probably would have dated a few years ago was interesting. But I feel like they kind of had this happen just so the Belloc kid could have something to do, because she keeps coming back in the story, and then now she's dead now because she gave her life force or whatever so that Lucifer could come back. Um, yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. But it just seemed it was entertaining. There were definitely parts of book 2 that I enjoyed. There were definitely parts towards the end of book 2 where, you know, the the card people, the Basandus or the Ascend, whatever they're called, the tarot card people. That was interesting. The idea that they were so needy to expand into a world, and they used that girl that they had basically possessed in book 1. That was cool, and the idea that like she couldn't really hurt herself, only they could hurt her, and they needed her as a vessel was cool. It was kind of weird to see like the ghost sperm chasing her as she jumped out of a building and free fell, at terminal velocity, only to be stopped. That was kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, they don't really explain why Lucifer can hurt her and how he's able to use her as like a bargaining chip to get the tarot card people to basically destroy themselves. And it feels like they kind of wrapped that up in haste and kind of like ex machina it and like didn't really explain, or maybe I didn't understand they were explaining well enough. But I feel like if I was coming into this expecting interesting visuals, an interesting narrative, and a novel conflict, I would be perfectly satisfied. But I came into this expecting perhaps more intellectual or philosophical nuance than perhaps has been present in the comic. And I think that's why I got bored so many times, and that's why I wasn't really into it as much as I could have been. Um, as promised, I am going to start book three at some point, but don't expect a video for book three anytime soon because things are kind of crazy over here right now. But yeah, Lucifer book two, it was good. It was not better than the first one, and I definitely skipped past stuff more often in the second one than the first one. I'm hoping that changes in three. I'm hoping we get some interesting concepts and less of a, you know, defunding of whatever art department, art style directive. It seemed like the last episode of Evangelion or something. Like they just ran out of money and just kind of like started getting really lazy with the art and really lazy with the character design. But yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen in book three.